President Biden is spending time in Oklahoma today to meet with survivors and descendants of the Tulsa Race Massacre. CBS reporter Danya Bacchus shows us how he commemorated what's being called one of the darkest days of U.S. history.
President Biden is visiting Tulsa today to remember and honor the victims of the race massacre that began 100 years ago Monday.
Some injustices are so heinous, so horrific, so grievous, they can't be buried, no matter how hard people try.
That there hasn't been political will to bring the attention to it that it deserves is a tragedy, and I commend President Biden for giving it the respect that it deserves.
The president is meeting privately with survivors, all of whom are more than 100 years old. Mr. Biden is also touring the Greenwood Cultural Center, outlining plans to confront systemic racism, narrow the wealth gap between blacks and whites, and help communities of color across the U.S. by reinvesting in underserved communities. The Tulsa Race Massacre is one of the worst chapters of racial violence in U.S. history. It's been largely forgotten, hushed for decades until fairly recently. Mr. Biden is the first sitting president to travel here to honor its victims. The violence erupted after a black man was accused of assaulting a white woman. A white mob killed and injured hundreds of black residents in the thriving business district known as Black Wall Street. Thousands of others were forced into internment camps. The mob looted and burned the Greenwood district, destroying more than 1,200 homes and businesses. Today, 100 years later, the legacy of Black Wall Street will endure as people come together to remember and make sure an attack like this never happens again. Danya Bacchus, CBS News, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
President Biden dodged questions on whether he will support reparations for the victims of the Tulsa massacre. Meantime, California is moving ahead with its efforts to study reparations for black Americans. We'll have more on that coming up tonight at 6 o'clock.